Oh my gosh, look at that. 60 to 0 in like no time flat. We have to stop the train like now, folks. I'm probably going to blow through this and ruin my platinum medal. Hello everybody, welcome back to Train Sim World, where we are about to play What's That? The Great Western Express is completely done. Yes, that is right. If I go into this, I have finished everything on mainline driver. What has happened? My game got screwed up on this particular mission for whatever reason. I recorded everything was hunky-dory, and the way it came out was just terrible. So here I am re-recording this. Let's go ahead and switch profiles. Yes, we are going to switch profiles to, guess what, Koi? Haha, yeah, that's right. So now that we are in the opposite profile, let's try this again. Not Sandpatch Grape, but Great Western Express. Yes, in this profile, I've not finished everything. I've got a few missions I've got to do on my own personal profile. But yeah, so we're going to play the Felixstown North Bristol Temple Intermodal. Oh my God, not Bristol Temple. We're gonna play the 4B34 Felixstown North to Bristol Terminal Intermodal, and we're gonna get right into this with 8100 AP score. Let's go. All right, folks, we are in it. Class 66 DBS, whatever a DBS means. Let's look on the outside camera. It's just your usual DB Schenker train, and we are hauling not these wonderful gray cars. I really wish it was these gray cars. So I think that these particular cars right here are tied to a particular DLC, which is why I don't seem to be allowed to tow any kind of coal of any kind, which is messed up. I'm going to one day find out which DLC I actually have that make this coal car happen. In the meantime, we're going to be transporting Lloyd here, I guess you could say, and all these other train cars that go quite a ways out there. All right, inside our engine, if you want to know where the cab light is, the cab light is up here. It is currently 3:37 in the morning. We got to wait for 15 seconds and our train can get rolling. Don't need taillight. Everything else is turned on here. Up in the fuse cabinet, we will want to turn on the DLC isolate switch from isolated to unisolated. Next up, we want to turn on AWS TPWS, essentially also known as the 24 volt supply fuse, from off to on, and press Q to get rid of that annoying noise. With that said, our mission officially started, and our itinerary here is going to West Drayton Platform 1, Maidenhead Platform 1, and Reading as our final stop. So this happened to be the very last Class 66 mission. We're going to put the reverser into forward, throttle up to 1. In the meantime, we could just drop our brake down, wait till that hits 5.1 over on the monitor on the right there, and wait for all the bogies to drop out to 0, and this train will not roll at throttle 1. I will tell you that right now. I've got quite a long train. You can actually see my engine's way out there, and we're not going to go anytime soon. Unlike the American freight, this particular blinky light does not tell you anything about how much PSI you actually have in your brake pressure. That's the one disadvantage right now of UK Rail, so yay, good on them. I think it was throttle 4 I was able to get this train rolling. Let's try throttle 3. I doubt anything else is going to happen. Let's just bump up my hot plate, because generally I like having T, so yeah, let's do medium there. Contact the singler. Proceed as singles indicate as we bump it up to throttle 4, and that is the clincher to get this train on a roll. Oh, headlights. We probably should turn on headlights, folks. It's already on for us, thankfully. Nighttime headlight mode is set and ready to go. With that said, in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about ETCS. That is right. So here I am driving a UK train. There is no ETCS currently on UK Rail, officially speaking. So we do things like AWS, we do things like DSD, we do things like the TPWSIS, etc. But today we're going to be getting into ETCS. Why? Because I was looking at the last of the rail missions here for the network rail, I guess you could say, especially for the Class 66. What possible thing can we do? What are they going to do with Class 66? I know they're trying to electrify them at some point. That was one of the ideas, but I was kind of interested. It's like, well, what about the future of safety? Will the UK up and increase safety? Probably not, right? Let's go ahead and bump it up to throttle 8 and wheel slip our train just ever so slightly. We're just barely not getting any wheel slip, because that would have shown up on an icon here. That would have shown up there, but actually this is really good. Look at that. There goes the networker turbo much faster than I am. Now, I can't remember if that's the networker turbo that ends up having to wait for me in the long run, but we're going to try to get ourselves moving on out of Acton Yard. It's kind of crazy to me as an American driving usual American freight going about 10-15 miles an hour out of a yard. It is really crazy to go 30 miles out of a yard and just be okay with that speed limit. Whatever, it's okay, I get it. So with that said, we're going to be going 60, and then we're going to be bumping up to 70, so we're going to kind of coast along at least until our mile per hour changes, at least once we get there. And I think at some point we're going to be going to the right. It is true, this network networker turbo is going to be waiting for me. In fact, this is probably better to drive this episode with the lights currently off because we could see so much better here. Networker turbo, I do deeply apologize for making you all wait, but the freight engine has to go through, folks. Freight has to move through. Yes, that's right. We're going to be cutting across all the way over to the left track coming up right now, as you can see there. There is our final left track. Yes, we're going to be screwing that networker turbo that's way back there for quite some time. That is horribly unfortunate because why? I have caused an emergency brake. Yay, networker turbo. I deeply apologize for messing with you, but this is just the way things have to roll, folks. Folks, who happen to get into this situation, of course, hit your emergency brakes. Just let the valve pop open. Make sure your brakes are essentially released. Make sure you have nothing else. Well, maybe some direct brakes might be helpful. We have to essentially wait for this wonderful brake demand light to be off. The only way to do that is to turn off our throttle. Best to put this on neutral, and we wait 1 whole minute for the brake demand light to actually go off. What are they doing with ETCS? The goal is to trial a Class 387 electric locomotive operated by Thameslink Railway and also operating a Class 66. Yes, this is where Class 66 comes in. Class 66 is owned by DB Cargo UK, and this particular Class 66 is being revamped and redesigned along with the 387 to handle ETCS train system. Over time in this episode, I'm going to be showing you what this actually looks like, but for now, just go with me that they're going to be revamping the wiring so you can actually see what this is going to look like. The trials are actually being conducted as of spring 2024, so not very long ago, at the Rail Innovation and Development Center, and this is where they have a special section of track that has the ETCS system incorporated into the track and has this ability to drive the train forward. Folks, I should probably hit the hazard button. It's probably important to flash my hazard, letting people know that my wonderful TPWS system here is just letting me know that I've screwed up. I've caused a major delay for the networker turbo back there, but that is totally okay. We got a great picture coming out of this. Alrighty, folks, our demand brake has finally ended. Thank goodness. So let's go ahead and release the, I already released the direct brake. We're good there. Let us go ahead and find the throttle, reverse her forward, and let's throttle up. You can start to see for some bizarre reason, this gets darker and darker as the mission goes along. I can't quite understand what the cause of that is. Oh, we got an uphill, so we're gonna have to need a little bit more pressure here, I guess you can say. So in order to get this train moving officially, one, I've got to make sure my automatic brake is completely released, which I know it is. The brake cylinder, that's the problem. The brake cylinders aren't actually working. Hold on, folks. We got to throttle back down. Ah, yes, the emergency brake valve is still open. Let's properly close that and then pull on our automatic brake and properly recharge the brake system. If this ever happens to you, remember, pull the emergency brake closed. All right, now we can try this again. Throttle 4 may not cut it because I do have this little 0.1% grade here. The throttle 1 is not going to do it. So we're going to have to do, throttle 4 is not going to do it. Throttle 5 is going to be the way to go. I think we can get this train moving on throttle 5. Yes, it is. It just barely goes. Oh my god, that's insane. But yeah, throttle 5 out of throttle 8. But you know what I'm gonna do? We go max throttle here, right? Throttle 8 will cover everything into a wheel slip. We're not going to go wheel slipping. You can actually see that happen as I go into throttle 8. You'll get the little icon that says wheel slip right there. There it is. I think we got this. We're just going to leave it alone throttle 8 because I am extremely late. Networker turbo is now extremely late. Everybody's late beyond me. Yay, I've just ruined the entire GWE day for whatever day this is in the middle of whatever month this is. GWE is once again late in the 2015 timetable thanks to me driving this shed. Folks, up ahead, we had a major problem. Sorry about that. We'll in fact flash our hazard light just to let you know I didn't mean anything by this. I'm just letting you know there was a problem trying to drag this train around. Yeah, so I really got to pay attention to the Q button. That's what I got to do around here. But at least there's not going to be any train getting in my way up ahead. So yay me. So like I said, the ETCS system that they are trialing in the UK, the design behind it is to do a pilot. The pilot again is going to determine whether or not certification happened. And the only way to get certification is one, it has to work. The ETCS system has to work. And then two, there has to be associated mileage that needs to be accumulated on the stock that's driving it. In this case, we're talking about the Class 66, folks. That Class 66 has to get a good chunk of miles before certification happens. Once that miles are actually done and all the tests have passed, then it can be certified to drive on UK rail with the ETCS system on board. The advantage of this, folks, is going to be refitting the entire fleet of stock with ETCS. However, the disadvantage of this whole thing will be putting magnets and brackets and all that stuff on the track, causing probably yet another year of Christmas closures for everybody living in the UK. So let's party with that and say yay. Now, of course, the UK, the whole point of the ETCS system was to roll this out at one point. I talked about this in a previous episode. They're using ATP, they're using AWS, they're using DSD, they're using essentially TPWSIS. I think I finally said that right in one go. And the thing is that none of these safety systems up until ETCS has been really relatively any safer. I mean, look at the American system and how many cars and trucks get smashed at railroad crossings, right? The goal behind ETCS again is to create optimized timetables, reducing overall operational costs, actually boosting reliability of the railway network. More on this in a little bit here, folks. As of April, put it that way, as of April 2024, wow, I caught that little Q button there real quick. So that Class 66, DB Cargo UK Class 66, it has finished with dynamic testing as of April 2024. The next step forward is to have the required mileages for certification. It needs 5,000 operational miles of fault-free running before going through any type of regulatory approval. So until it can get a full 5,000 miles, I'm assuming if I run 1,000 miles and I hit a fault, it has to go another 5,000 miles from that. Or it has to be 5,000 fault-free miles no matter how many faults they get in the middle. I'm expecting the latter to be the most likely case, folks. Now, which DB Cargo locomotive is the one that's being utilized for this particular project? It is the DB Cargo 66039 and is considered first in class. The work on the Class 66 was completed at the Progress Rail Depot in Doncaster before the vehicle was eventually hauled over to Network Rail Innovation and Development Center. This happened to be located in Leicestershire, if I'm saying that right, and that particular developmental center is the one that is equipped to manage ETCS testing. There's nobody here. There's no point for me to honk. I'm just honking for no reason. This is the craziest part. For this one locomotive for DB Cargo UK, this design and installation of this particular Class 66 took 4 years, folks. They started this in 2020. It takes that much time to deal with the complexity of upgrading the Class 66 from the instrumentation panel that you see right here in front of me into something that has a much more ETCS compatible screen and all that other fun stuff. One of the reasons the Class 66 was chosen for this particular project is the fact that Class 66 is probably the most common line that you'll see out there in the UK. If you're looking for any kind of freight, it's probably going to be Class 66 driving it. So if they can convert all of these Class 66s to ECTS reliable and operational status, that means you have a boost in economic efficiency for the freight line, which will in theory boost the economic efficiency of the passenger rail line. Unlike what just happened to me early in this episode where I just got faulted and stopped right there in the middle of the line and screwed up the networker turbo behind me, the difference now would be I wouldn't have that fault happen unless it is absolutely necessary. In theory, folks, the ETCS system was part of something called the East Coast Digital Program. This entire thing is connected with Siemens Mobility, and this whole process took about 16 months from the start of retrofitting all the way to the time where the Class 66 finally can roll out. And they're also looking at not only Class 66, but also doing regulatory approval for the Class 67. This happens to be the first in class, again, to build innovation, perseverance, and resilience to essentially boost operation across the line altogether. Now, DB Cargo UK is not the only one that is doing this. I must say that now. What is my maximum speed on this train? My maximum speed is 75. Do I need to slow down my train? Oh my gosh, I'm going way too fast, folks. Remember, folks, the Class 66 should not be going 77 miles an hour. I am currently damaging my engine right now. My engine is braking, as you can see. I am super curious, though, how fast the Class 66 really can move, although it's definitely not this fast. So we're gonna just bump up a little tiny bit of brake just to get me back under 75, please. Just a little bit under 75. That's better. Let's release our brakes. This is perfect. Much better, folks. Much better. We're coming into West Drayton platform 1 I was going to say platform 4. I don't know where I got platform 4 from, but whatever. Both of them are platform 1. This is the first time we're driving I almost said DB Cargo Class 66, but a Class 66, the first time we're driving it into platform 1. Why? Because this is like 4 in the morning. I mean, nobody else is going to be out here. Who wants to be out here at 4 in the morning? All right, we're bumped up to 73 miles an hour. I think that's good enough. We could probably manage throttle 6. We'll see what happens when I do throttle 6. It probably will creep up little by little here. DB Cargo UK is not the only one producing Class 66s that are going to be ETCS eligible, so to speak. Freightliner is going to be the next group that's doing this. They also have partnered with Siemens Mobility, and their goal is to retrofit one of its own Class 66 diesel locomotive with a state-of-the-art European train control system. However, Freightliner has said that every Class 66 is unique, so they can't just rely on DB Cargo to do his thing and expect it to go well and then transfer those skills over to their own Class 66s. A wide variety of Class 66s have one variation or another, a wiring, control scheme, whatever it is, and Freightliner wants to make sure their own operational line work just fine. And in the case of Freightliner, what they're doing is they're calling their Class 66 the Class 66V for variant. That's the whole idea behind their retrofit. Freightliner is doing the ETCS installation independently at its own Leeds Midland Road Vehicle Maintenance Facility. The engineers that happen to be there at Freightliner happen to be experienced in the differences between the core and variant vehicles. And this is very important to Freightliner itself. Freightliner wants to use that expertise to streamline the complex retrofitting process. Because it took 4 years for DB Cargo to do theirs, Freightliner wants to find a way to at least cut that down by half a year or something, right? I'm going to come back to this with ETCS, but for now, I'm just going to say this for a second and work with me, and I'll get back to you later in the episode about this. The idea behind ETCS is to get away from block signaling, so those lights up ahead, just eliminating them completely and moving to no signal. That is the possibility behind ETCS. As just a subtle hint here, if you drive anything with UK rail and then you go into German rail and then you start seeing PZB and LDB and SEPA, that's the future that the UK is trying to go for. And I'm just going to say this over and over again, but the Freightliner is going to be changing their locomotive, the 66591. That is the one that they did in the Class 66V for the purpose of this particular project, for the purpose of the upgrade, and for the purpose of trying the ETCS system. One of the things that DB Cargo, that Freightliner, and even oh my god, that is such a blinding light. What the heck, people? Turn off your lights outside. Golly, that was just like, folks, if anybody has any medical history that has to do with that blinking light, ignore the last 20 seconds of what I just recorded, because that was like, DB Cargo is introducing its own innovative ETCS training hub in Doncaster, and the thing is, everybody needs to be trained in what ETCS is. Nobody could just go on the rail line and just start driving. It doesn't quite work that way, and this is what I'm going to get to in just a few minutes here, that ETCS requires a certain subtle difference in order to drive ETCS. So in this training center, what they got is a Class 66 full cab simulator. Yes, we can drive a simulated railway, probably produced by Dovetail Games with no errors and no bugs. Lucky them, right? There is also 6 ultra light simulators. There is 2 instructor stations, a modern training space, and also they have breakout areas, they have study rooms, and an entirely equipped kitchen for all intents and purposes here, which all boost functionality for the facility. And the whole idea is comprehensive learning. Don't know what you need with a full-size kitchen, don't know what you need with training spaces, don't know what you need with breakout areas, but I get the idea behind it. Though the goal is to bring everybody together, run a meeting, and then take everybody separately, do these breakouts, get ideas and whatnot, take them into the simulator, try them out, come back, go to breakout areas, try some other stuff, come back to meetings, etc., rinse and repeat, and then you get ETCS. That's the idea behind it, folks. Now, they have to impact at least 600 drivers, 400 ground staff, and 600 engineers. So keep that in mind. 600, 1,200, 13, 14, 15, 1,600 people in the railroad that likely will be impacted by ETCS. The advantage here is you're going to be building in digital cab signaling. I'm going to come back to what digital cab signaling is in a few minutes here, folks. Digital in-cab signaling will be the thing that's going to revolutionize freight. Oh my god, I cannot do it. I cannot. Oh, I almost missed it. Golly. Anyways, it's going to be revolutionizing freight. It's also going to be revolutionizing passenger rail service. And again, the idea here is to improve efficiency, reduce carbon emission, boost reliability, cut costs, and also improve the overall general safety behind the railroad. Guys, I must say, despite the preview I did with my last video and then somehow everything glitched out in the middle of the video when I was trying to like upgrade it so I could put it in the little oven, it baked baked and baked burned. That's what happened, folks. So unlike that other video, this seems to be way more brighter than I thought. I was expecting this to be a little darker than it is now, but maybe it's because I'm not there yet, or maybe the sunrise finally worked because I went to photo mode for some reason. It just made everything a little bit brighter. Who knows? Folks, I feel like this might be the longest of the DB cargo that I've actually driven. This happened to be a 21 car train. Take out the engine, you got 20 cars. This is probably the longest I've ever driven, at least for the UK rail. I feel like everything else was something like 12 car, 15 cars. This just feels way longer than it did. What that means then is if we have to stop in Reading, we're going to have to stop probably like the American 1 mile in advance just to play things safe and make sure we stop properly. We're coming up on Maidenhead. Let's get about 500 yards. We're going to be passing through Maidenhead platform 1. No fanfare is required for this, folks. We are currently on a route that does not have ETCS systems. My God, that guy looks like he wanted to go on the platform, then he ran away. I swear I saw somebody there. But anyway, so we are on a rail line that does not have ETCS. So this is essentially considered ETCS level 0, or at least in my opinion, that's the way I'm looking at it. ETCS 0 is essentially a train vehicle that has ETCS. So in other words, the first in the class or the class 66B, once those engines are on this track, they are essentially driving an ETCS 0. What that means is the train board equipment monitors the train for maximum speed of that type of train. However, the train driver is required to observe trackside signals. Me as the driver in an ETCS vehicle would have to pay attention to all the block signals. And I'm going to try to show you some pictures of what this actually looks like in principle. ETC level 1 is a cab signaling system that gets superimposed on the existing signaling system. And what this essentially means is you now have LEU encoders, and these get transmitted to the vehicle as movement authority together with route data at various fixed points. So you can have route data like these two green singles here, but you're also going to be looking at a screen and you're going to be seeing some extra information. However, the engineer itself is going to be paying attention to those singles up ahead, not necessarily the screen itself. Now, where they're trying to go for the UK is ETCS level 2. ETCS level 2 is a digital radio-based single and train protection system. Movement authorities in this case are given to the driver itself in order to allow the train to move itself on the track, and most of the singles are displayed in the cab. So no longer are we looking at the singles directly in front of me. We're no longer doing that. Now what we're looking at least in the context of the picture here, level 2 is using a transmitter on the engine. Level 2 is then sending this to a radio block center, and then this is going to interlock, and the interlock is still working with balises and balise antenna. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But the driver is not necessarily looking ahead at the lights up ahead. The driver's instead looking down here. Yes, the driver's going to be like this. We're going to see some stuff if we need to. We can always look up and gauge out in front of us, but realistically, we're going to be staring at our screens. To ensure we get the proper reliability between me, the Class 66, and in front of me, probably the Networker Turbo, and in front of the Networker Turbo, the Class HST. To get the right reliability, you really want to aim for ETCS level 3. Level 3 will allow for the minimum amount of spacing between engine and engine. So I can have an HST behind a Networker Turbo, which is behind me, the Class 66. Each one of these three will receive a signal from the signaling station, and this signaling station will tell me exactly what speed I need to be to make sure I am constantly chasing the train in front of me. This includes if they stop for station, this includes if they have breakdown. It just prevents crashes. That's the idea behind it and creates the ultimate safety feature. The block system here essentially says I don't have any idea what's in front of me. I see a green light. Yes, that's great, but that's only good for the single block between here and the next block ahead, but I cannot physically see a train in front of me. Whereas the ETCS level 3 allows for me to be able to look again at a screen in front of me here, and whereas the ETCS level 3 allows for me to be able to look again at a screen in front of me here, and in that screen I'm able to see how far away technically I'm away from the next train in front of me. However, it doesn't really say, hey, your next train's like 20 feet in front of you. No, it just basically tells me the safe operating speed to maintain chasing with that train. The train says you're going to run over the balises, and the ETCS antenna inside the train is going to create the train integrity to make sure it has the maximum available or even the minimum available braking to where when it comes to a complete stop, it will not crash into the train in front of it. So it will send that signal to the interlocking and radio block center, and that block center will send out signals to the other trains around it, and all of them will kind of move in formation all at the same time. And so when one breakdown, say the Class 66 I'm driving here, causes a breakdown, gets into trouble, whatever it is, and just stops, just automatically just like just instant from 90 to 60 to 0, just bam, it's done. The HST that might be behind me, for example, will actually have the minimum braking required to actually come to a complete stop without crashing into me, and that will get sent to the engineer for proper safety distances. Now, across the nation, I will tell you this, I believe I got some pictures of this. The UK, of course, does not use ETCS except for that training center, and the idea is just going to roll out. Maybe next year we'll see what happens. But across the European Union, there are places that you do use ETCS. One of them I know Germany uses this, but again, different areas use different levels of the system. What that does help and what that does create is the maximum speed that a train can also drive. This is why the German rail can practically go almost 300 miles an hour, while the UK rail is stuck at about 125, while American rail, of course, is stuck at like 50. I've talked about DB Cargo UK. I've also talked about Freightliner, but what happened to Great Western? Where's Great Western and all this? Guarantee that Great Western is not even looking at ETCS, at least at this point. Where they're going with their time and effort, they're going toward battery trains. They're going toward trying to find replacements for their HSTs, which I'm going to be talking about in the next episode. Please, for those folks, definitely stay tuned. If you've been enjoying this discussion about ETCS, do definitely like and subscribe. Leave me comments. I would love to hear your feedback about what you think about that and whether or not that sort of system should come to America. Personally, I think it would benefit American Rail to have that sort of system, especially for the passenger line. That really would benefit there. But, would this benefit the UK rail by bringing it essentially nationwide in the UK? Will it benefit to have the level 3 in the EU? Probably so, but let me know your feedback. GWR is not quite looking at this, so they're looking at finding replacements for their aging infrastructure, and there's going to be something key and very important I'm going to be mentioning in a future episode related to the big three. And the big three are the ones that are essentially running the show, running the program, essentially for the ownership of the cards and whatnot. And that is what we're going to get into the next episode about what's going to happen with the HSTs, what's going to happen with the networker turbos, and what's going to happen with the end of the GWE for me. With that said, we're coming down to 60 miles an hour, and we probably have to do something to stop my brakes here before I kind of crash into something. Oh my god. I gotta apply my brakes, folks. I am going way too fast. Let's get myself down to 60. Oh my god. Wow. And Reading Station is one of these stations, again, in 1 mile. We're coming up on Reading. It's one of these stations where if you don't stop in time, you will blow through that last red single up ahead. It's really easy to do that at Reading, especially at this time of day. 4 o'clock in the morning, you can't really see what's up ahead all that easily, other than the fact that you got a 60-mile-an-hour zone. The only way you even know that you have a 60-mile-an-hour zone, this little tiny block that you can kind of see how fast you're actually supposed to go. Unless you know your location, you really don't know where you're going, and you don't really know where the sign is. It's really hard to do it in 2D. It's probably easier to do with stereo vision. This is probably where this game deserves to have VR. Oh my gosh, look at that. 60 to 0 in like no time flat. We have to stop the train like now, folks. I'm probably going to blow through this and ruin my platinum medal, but I'm going to try hard not to. We're now at 37 miles an hour. Come on, train. 500 yards to stop. Oh my god, stop this train, people. Stop the train. 26, 25. All right, we got a chance. 20 miles an hour. Yes, we did it. All right, folks, we're going to probably have to throttle up now because I always do this. I either go too fast or I go too slow. Throttle 5 is going to be the one that's going to flip the number around. Come on, throttle. I don't want to stop this far. This is going to be stupid to stop back here. Come on. Up, 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 up. Give me more speed. Yes, more speed. Just a little bit. That's all I require. Just a little bit of speed to get us to like 6 or 7 miles an hour. That will be good enough. Welcome to Reading Station, where again we have the crappy design of the shadow effect just failed me today. Now keep in mind, I did have to lower my graphics. I'm sure that plays a slight reason to it, but the bugs behind this stuff, that should not happen, folks. All right, we're starting to speed up. This is kind of good, but not really. We want to kind of coast along. These ladies are up really early. Wow, what the heck? 4 in the morning, and people are already ready to go and go to work. My gosh. Okay, I think it's funny I'm not slowing down. This is insane. We're gonna have to slam the brakes as soon as I get up there. Let's try to put on a little bit of brakes. Slow us down just a touch. That will do it. Let the brake go. Yes, we're going to have to put a little more brake here. Once we get into the next the next green zone, this is the point where we should start applying brakes. Come on, brakes. 40 yards away. I don't care where we stop. We just need to stop like right here. This is fine. I'm just scared of that single man. Yes, we did it. Let's see what the end of the mission said. We got a platinum medal, and you can see ourselves. We did really well. We actually got no speeding this time. Yay. How do you get left vehicle unsafely? I really got to try this out somehow and figure out how to use this here. But anyways, with that said, like, subscribe, leave me comments. Thank you for watching. My alternative profile do the same thing, but I did get the platinum medal on the other one. If you don't believe me, you'll see it in the next episode. But yes, stay tuned for the end of the GWS. We finished the final 3 missions. One of them Networker Turbo, and then 2 of them are HSTs. Looking forward to see you then. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. And all deal breaker or nothing like that. You could still board your train. You could still get on roughly in the same place. I mean, just the sheer lucracy, I guess you could say, if that's even a word, of network rail shutting down for 2 whole weeks, year after year after year, compared to me driving a regular train in America, is so different, folks.